Good morning and welcome to the September 12th Oregon Tourism Commission meeting. To everybody that has joined us here today in Yachats and to those joining through Travel Oregon's Industry YouTube channel, thank you for taking the time to be with us. Today's meeting materials, including the agenda and supplemental material, can be found on the Travel Oregon Industry website if you'd like to follow along. Commissioners, I'd like to acknowledge that in holding a meeting today, we met all public meeting notice requirements provided by state law. To begin, I'd like each commissioner to briefly introduce themselves if you have a second.
Good morning. My name is David Pendleton, owner of America's Hub Tours and Oregon Tour Experts. And I would just like to say that, it's unfortunate with the incident that happened in Utah. And then, in fact, when you look at the 7 to 8 different black colleges, universities throughout the United States who recently had bomb threats and had to shut down, a lot of things are happening. But coming here to Yachats is very refreshing to come to a community where the community is coming together to respect and honor the Native tribal people and the many, many unfortunate things that happen, but at the same time, it's just a wonderful thing to see. So I just want to say thank you to the people here in the community for what you do, and it's very much appreciated.
Thank you, Commissioner Pendleton, for those words, and I echo your thoughts and words. And my name is David Grimmels. I'm a commissioner at large, founder of Rogue Creamery and Churn, and truly grateful for the hospitality that has been shown here and truly expressed. And from the beginning of our journey with a warm welcome at Overleaf and a tour of the Amanda Trail and 802 with Drew and Jesse, and further the next day followed with a tour of the Amanda Trail with Joanne and Chief Barrett. Again, it was really heartwarming to learn the history and also heartbreaking to understand what that trail means, and to have the community united and telling the story so that we all have a true understanding and today can enjoy the beauty of that the trail showcases and understand that history. Thank you again for the warm welcome, and I really look forward to coming back and enjoying Yachats again.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Travis Hill. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Umpqua Indian Development Corporation, which is also Seven Feathers Casino Resort, which is owned and operated by the Cow Creek Band of Umpqua Tribe of Indians. Great to be here in Yachats. Last couple of days had some great experiences, fantastic hospitality, food. Probably the best fish and chips yesterday that I've had, 9.6 on my scale, which is pretty high. A handmade mug here, so representing the local artisans, and thank you for everything. It's been a great visit.
Good morning, Harish Patel. I own a lodging facility in Coos Bend, Pendleton. It's always nice to be here in Yachats. I've been here dozens, if not hundreds of times since I used to live in Florence, and this was our backyard. But I'm embarrassed that I knew nothing about Amanda Trail, the sad history. So thank you to the View the Future organization, and thank you for hosting us.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Rowe, and I own Crater Lake Zipline. I find there's a common theme as we roll around the state and meet different people, but there's this theme of collaboration that happens often behind the scenes, because I see a lot of people who are doing a lot of great work and never asking for notice for it. And again, here we come to Yachats and meet some more great people who are collaborating and doing great work. The last few days have been sad in my book, not because of Yachats or anything I've experienced here, but there's just some things happening in the world that are unsettling, right? but I got to visit a bit with Joanne as we were walking the Amanda Trail a few days ago. And at the end of our walk, she said something to all of us. She just said, "We never give up." And I just appreciated her simple words of encouragement and telling us, hey, whatever we're working on, whatever we're dealing with, there are people that are working with us, and we never give up. So I will just leave you with that, and a thank you for having us here.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Commissioners. Scott Youngblood from Cascada Thermal Springs and Hotel in Portland. Thank you to the community for the remarkable welcome. Thank you for the kind of the intimate look and insights that we've received into the local community, into the tribal heritage of the region, and for the opportunity to spend some really heartfelt time together, including last night's dinner with our local partners. It was a joy to get to sit for a few minutes with Senator Anderson last night and talk a little bit about Travel Oregon and this agency and our role both statewide and nationally. The fact that were you not to know this organization from the inside out the way so many of us do, you couldn't appreciate how this organization over-delivers, over-indexes, creates such disproportionate value economically, culturally, and so it's fun to get to share those stories and to have elected officials who are willing to engage and spend time with us and really understand the work of the Commission and the work of the brilliant team at Travel Oregon.
Good morning. My name is Lucinda DeNovo. I am the Director of Sales and Events at Coquel Casino Resort in Coos Bay and Medford. Everyone has said such beautiful things. I don't really think there's more for me to say other than what an incredible community, what incredible people who live in it. My thanks to Joanne and Chief Barrett for the contribution that they make to this community. Bobby, I'm so glad last night Todd gave you a shout out for the work that you've done with Wheel of the World, and here we sit today. In 10 days, we will have a campaign that makes us the most accessible state in the state of Oregon, and you were such an incredible champion of that work. So I just want to say thank you for all of your work in that space. And I'm just so glad to be here. Drew, thank you for your hospitality, for you and your team. The beautiful flowers in our room, those hand-cut flowers, they were gorgeous. And just really appreciate your hospitality and opening up your hot tub for Chief Barrett a little bit later so he could help a hurting back. So I appreciate that. Thanks.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Todd Davidson. I'm the CEO at Travel Oregon, and it's all been said, so I just want to take a moment just to acknowledge what a privilege it is to be here. I mean, the spirit of selfless service and collaboration is alive and well on the Oregon coast, and certainly here in Yachats, and it's a real privilege to be here with all of you. Thank you for the hospitality and the warm welcome.
And I'm Greg Willits with my dynamic family, built and manage Five Pine Lodge and Shibui Spa in Sisters, Oregon. And everybody said pieces that I was going to hit. I am just thankful for being here, and I'm always excited to show up at a new community and feel their passion for their place, and how they share it with us is very unique. And it's an inside extra credit tour every time. And I'm thankful for the people I met on this adventure. Thank you. We also, before we kick it off, we want to say a big happy birthday to a guy who brings everybody else coffee and makes sure everybody else is taken care of. Kevney Dugan, thank you for joining today. And thank you for spending your birthday with us. It's special. Thanks. Today, we will have an opportunity to hear comments from partners. If you plan on making remarks, please sign up on the sheet at the back of the room. As a semi-independent state agency, we are afforded the opportunity to have our Department of Justice representative attend our meetings and provide counsel if needed. We are joined virtually today by our DOJ representative, Sylvia Cramen. Sylvia, would you say hello?
Yes. Hello, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to attend the meeting. And I've worked actually with Travel Oregon since I started at DOJ in approximately 2007. I started working with this agency. So it's really my pleasure to be here, and I appreciate all the good work that you do. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I also want to thank Commissioner DeNovo for following through on a request that our Department of Justice attend meetings until the search process concludes. Sylvia Cramen has been instrumental in educating everyone involved in the CEO search about mandatory requirements and best practices. We are fortunate to have access to her wealth of knowledge, and she delivers it in a very digestible way for anybody who needed help with things. In other news today, I'd like to offer space for Commissioner Gremmels to share about a recent personal trip that coincided with a Travel Oregon activation at the Royal Horticulture Show in Richmond, England. David, you mind sharing?
Thank you, Chair Willits, for that introduction. And I just want to reiterate that about a year ago, I received a golden ticket. And that golden ticket came from one of my best friends who decided to share a lovely tour of Europe and the UK, as well as Morocco, with 3 of her best friends. So that trip concluded in the UK, and it was more than a few commission meetings ago. I heard a report from Lorna about the Royal Horticultural Society show, and I thought, wow, what are the dates? So I checked those dates and reached out to Todd and Lucinda and Petra and said, what are the chances I could get in to see Travel Oregon's booth? And lo and behold, there was a booth. So yes, I got a ticket for myself and my friends, and I was so taken back by this industry show and the presence of Travel Oregon at the show in a place where, and I say a place, this was a royal garden at a palace, and so attended by many individuals. And in Britain, gardening isn't just a passion, it's an obsession. And for Travel Oregon to be there is brilliant. I don't know who came up with the idea, but this booth that Travel Oregon created with its partners in Britain was truly inspiring, featuring native plants and really taking a step into an experience with a Volkswagen Bug that was just decorated, a picnic in front of it that was staged and beautiful. It just created thought and journey, and truly expressed an opportunity to engage tens of thousands of visitors to come to Oregon. And so gardening adds a great amount of money to the GDP of Britain. And Oregon's presence will, I believe, add to the industry's profits by inspiring those from not only Britain but Europe who attended the show. But I also want to step back and really appreciate those who were at the booth and talking about Oregon and its native plants. This is an amazing brochure that Travel Oregon created with hazelnuts to summer wine yarrow and on and on. And then also an international guide for visitors to come to Oregon. So I was just so impressed with the presence. And mind you, we feel the temps in our summer increasing. they feel it in Britain. And the temperature was over 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And the team, Petra, Lorna, Elena, Lisa, Sadie, and Jan, were just on, expressing their stories about the garden, about journeys and opportunities in Oregon. And there were so many enthusiasts in the booth, just so excited about Oregon and the plants in the booth. So I was very excited to share about the hospitality shared that was truly from the heart of Oregon to tens of thousands of visitors who visited the booth. So congratulations to Travel Oregon, those who participated in the booth. Thank you, Petra, for your hospitality and your team's hospitality. And I'm just proud to say I'm an Oregonian, and truly what was expressed at the Royal Horticultural Society's show by Oregon was powerful. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, David. With that, we have a very full agenda, so let's get started. Commissioners, in holding in-person meetings throughout the state, one important opportunity we have is to hear from our local partners welcoming us to their communities. It's my pleasure to ask Marcus Hines, Executive Director at the Oregon Coast Visitors Association, Bobby Price, Yachats City Manager, and Yachats Mayor Craig Birdie to join us today. If you could come down and share.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, good. Okay. I'm Bobby Price. I'm the city manager here in Yachats, and I'd like to start by giving a sincere welcome to Yachats. Having spent a significant part of my career in tourism, it's a true honor to have Travel Oregon and the Board of Commissioners here in our community. Many of the incredible people who work for Travel Oregon have been professional inspirations for me and continue to be. Today, we'd like to share with you some of the incredible work we have been doing in Yachats in partnership and in collaboration. We'll start by sharing a little bit about our relationship with our DMO, the Yachats Chamber of Commerce. The city of Yachats has invested significant funding in advancing its destination marketing and management efforts through a new strategic marketing plan and a new approach for Yachats. The Chamber and its marketing company, Verdant & have been working diligently to lay the foundation for Yachats. They are collaborating on rebranding, developing a new logo, creating content, and gathering assets to build a new website, all scheduled to launch later in October. The brand emphasizes connecting with local people, taking time to slow down, enjoying nature, and experiencing the magic that comes with disconnecting and reconnecting. For the first time ever, we'd like to debut our Visit Yachats Hero video, which offers a glimpse into some of the efforts we're making here in Yachats.
You hike. Give me a description of it.
It's the only known name of southern Elsie villages and the origin of the name Yachats.
The first word that comes to mind to me is community.
Mindful.
Charming.
Inclusive.
Family.
Enchanting. Magical.
Quirky.
Foresty.
Authentic.
Sanctuary.
Ocean.
Compassion. Serene.
Village.
So that's a really exciting piece that's been being worked on for a long time, and we are just thrilled to have the official launch of this new brand and new website, and new images for Visit Yachats here in October. So with that, I'd like to then go into a little bit about our Yachats area trolley. This is an exciting project that has been a long time in the making. And we couldn't be more proud to announce that this beautiful hybrid trolley is set to arrive in mid-October. And we're really crossing our fingers that it will arrive in just the nick of time to launch alongside our annual Yachats Mushroom Festival. The trolley is an accessible and sustainable local public transportation option for our visitors and locals alike. The route will run from Beachside State Park, just south of Walport, all the way down to Cape Perpetua, stopping at each hotel and key point in town along the way. Not only is this hybrid trolley an attraction in itself, but it also gives our visitors the chance to experience Yachats while helping to reduce parking congestion and reduce its carbon footprint. One of the things we're really excited about for the trolley is the opportunity for all to hike along the 804 trail, to shopping and eating opportunities, and hitch a ride on the trolley on the way back. The incredible initiative wouldn't be possible without the generous grant funding from Travel Oregon and the Oregon Coast Visitors Association. So thank you to both organizations for recognizing the benefits of the trolley to both Yachats and visitors and investing in this project. With that, I'd like to introduce Mayor Craig Bertie to talk a little bit more about the wonderful projects and initiatives we have happening in Yachats.
Thank you, Bobby. So I'm going to go through these very quickly, but I certainly would like to get comments and questions. This is we've been working on these for almost 3 years, and thank you very much to the staff and the commissions and the citizens of Yachats. I find it very impressive how much we've gotten done within 3 years. We're just about ready to start the Estuary Walkway project. The grants will be announced in a few hours, and we're very hopeful that we will receive a grant to move forward with this. I think some of the keys of this walkway is certainly safety. As you can see, there's no area to walk this area, so we see people in strollers having to be in the streets. It's an accessibility issue, so that if you're in a wheelchair or any other form of transportation, you're at a disadvantage. And then also, it is probably the completion of the Oregon Coast Trail. So it's a missing link for safety in the Oregon Coast Trail. So this is a picture of what we have now. It's right on the shoreline of our estuary, and what we hope to have in probably a year and a half, we're going to get rid of the light poles that are in the way, and then we're going to put in the walkway, and we're hoping to be able to have a bump out in the middle so that those with accessibility problems, maybe somebody in a walker, will have a place to pull over and sit and rest on their journey through the estuary. We think it'll be a huge attraction for visitors to our community, as well as safety for the citizens. Another thing that we have funded is the restoration of our little log church. I don't know if any of you got a chance to walk down there. It's block and a half away. It's built in the 1926, I believe, and was falling apart. After many years of debate, we finally said, let's take care of this, enough debate, and we've started to do that. We're getting very close to that, to finishing that. It'll be ready in November. That facility attracts visitors from over 50 countries, and it's a highlight for a lot of people. People have gotten married in there, and they have many ceremonies, and also has a really nice small musical venue for bringing people in. It looks, we're much further than this picture illustrates. And one of the key changes that have that came with this project is that the engagement with the indigenous tribes. So we had a brief ceremony to return some of the relics that have been found in the area, and we are working closely with the tribes on new exhibits to highlight the pre-settlement period, the prison years, as well as the current state. And I think that's something that too often gets forgotten. It's a wonderful book called The Beating Heart of Wounded Knee, that how the indigenous people have survived and thrived. Where did I have the, yeah. We've also made some very significant property purchases to enhance these. So we purchased what was landmark property, and it actually was from the O'Neills. We purchased, it had a hotel inn on it called the Landmark, and prior to that it was Beulah's. It's been here for a very long time, but it had fallen into complete disrepair. So it was torn down in 2018 and was sitting idle. The city was able to buy it in collaboration with something called the 804
Mitigation.
804 mitigation funds, a series of homes in Yachats along the river, around the ocean, were built on county property. After many years of court litigation, they finally put money in a fund, and this was the final purchase with those funds, along with city purchases, to buy this property. We hope in the future to be able to put in some amenities and make this a park and a pull-off where people can come in, sit, walk along. It's adjacent to the estuary walkway, so they can sit, walk along, and then maybe get hungry and go get some food, and maybe even decide to stay. We also concurrently, after 6 months of difficult negotiation that Bobby led, we were able to get a lease on 25 acres of land that's across from this spot, which is our view shed. And it would have been silly to buy the property and then have a cut side of a mountain. Instead, we're going to be able to purchase it and be able to look out at the incredible view across there. I also want to highlight, even though it's not directly tourist related, at the same time, if you've had a chance and drive down 7th Street, you'll see our brand new library that's also going to be opened in November. It's a $1.5 million investment from the city with donations, bequests to help us with that purchase. Without those, we wouldn't have been able to do it. And it's a real asset, and it shows kind of the character of Yachats, that we care enough to still build a real library. And what's kind of remarkable about it is in the summer, we know that 40% of the books that go out are are people from other parts of the city, or parts of the country. So it is, in fact, a visitor amenity that many people do take advantage of. And I think as we see, DVDs and tools, etc., I think we'll see that use of the library increasing by visitors even more. And our environmental investments. So the city does, put money into the Amanda Trail, the Heat Trail, which is a small 3/4 of a mile trail. We have a native plant park, Gerdeman Garden, which is a botanical preserve and highlights plants from all over the world, little known, but really rich in attracting people that are serious about plants. You've seen our Highway 101 delineators just to the south to try to calm traffic, have a feeling of safety. We'd like to do more there. And we were just been engaged in becoming a bird city, which is a surprising number of people travel for bird watching. And it's especially important in the off season, this time of year, as migration increases. That's when people use that. And I want to talk a little bit about tourism and infrastructure. I don't want to poke the bear too much here, but tourism and infrastructure are integrally related. As we bring in visitors, we need to provide water for them. We are in a period of decreased rainfall, especially in the spring and summer, and we have serious challenges to how to continue to provide water for our visitors as well as our residents. It's something we really have to wrestle with, and it's certainly in terms of an analysis, it's certainly a threat to us. We also are working on repairing our city pavilion. Very expensive, turned out volunteer labor, was not really done correctly, and 20 years later we need to rebuild it, and this time we'll use contractors. But I do appreciate that's the kind of attitude that people of Yachats have, that let's just do this. And finally, I want to mention emergency planning, and a shout out to the Overleaf and Drew. This is something that I think every hotelier, certainly on the coast, but probably throughout the state, should be focused on. This is an important issue for us. If we were to have a tsunami, the Overleaf has go bags for every room, as well as Drew participates in our emergency preparedness and has helped us fill our emergency cache. We have other properties, some larger than the Overleaf, that do not have that. And if we all of a sudden have 300 additional visitors needing emergency preparedness, we don't know how we're going to be able to handle that. So we're very involved citizenry in our emergency preparedness, but we need to get all parties and all partners involved in that. It's a fairly easy lift, I think, for a hotel. It just really has to be promoted and make them aware of it. We also are working with our restaurants and our grocery store, because food supply will be important, especially in the short run. They can only store food for so long if power goes out, so we want to have those arrangements in place. So restaurants get involved in this also. And then I just, as mayor, I get to throw these things up. Some of the things that just long-term visions I'd love to see, some of these are based in my growing up and having a second home in northern Minnesota and seeing how successful they were in helping to grow local economies. Lodge-to-lodge services, so that there's a van or something that you load your goods in and you walk to the next city. It would be really, our bike to the next city would be really an asset. Outfitters, we talked about accessibility. Many outfitters in northern Minnesota will handle people with disabilities and get them, help them into canoes and help them into kayaks and enjoy the outdoors, as well as other people coming from other countries and from far away, so that you don't have to bring your bike. You can maybe use an outfitter to bring you up to the top of the mountain, and then you can bike downhill. There's been discussion, would love to see something like a bike path, a hiking path also, off-road between Yachats and Waldport. These kinds of things, amenities, would really help grow the local economies. And then, of course, I think this is something you're well aware of, is our shoulder and winter seasons. If we could smooth those curves, would be really helpful for the local economy. And with that, I'd like to see if there's any questions.
David?
Sure. Well, Bobby, Mayor, thank you. Great introduction, overview of what's happening here. First, Bobby, a quick question for you. The trolley, is that city-run, or is that through a private subcontracted?
Yes, We are going to be putting a contract out for First Student, who's the school bus company here in the county, and it will offer some summertime work for those drivers.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And I just want to say the walkway, I guess I've been in town here for about 3 days, I think 3. And every morning I've gotten up and run that early in the morning. It is just beautiful. So I'm excited to hear that the work that you're looking to do to expand on this. Will it actually connect to, at the very north end, you have several properties there. So will that actually allow those properties to connect to the walkway for visitors coming?
So the 804 trail goes from the hotels,
Right.
and then it'll go all the way around and then connect to that estuary walkway to continue that the safe walking all the way around.
Okay. And the last.
And at some point, after we get through with this first phase, we'd ultimately like to improve that entire walkway and make sure it was clear that this is a walk path.
Okay, great. Yeah, signage. The last 2 things. Number 1, the birding. It was when we did the walk with Joanne, the chief was standing next to the tree, and he made a couple of whistles, what have you. And we saw one bird come over his head, then another, and then there was a bunch of other birds. So I took my little cell phone and I started trying to. I have this little bird app, Merlin. So I'm trying to capture some of the sounds to see which birds, because I happen to be married to one of a world-class birder. And so it was kind of exciting. In fact, Carrie and my wife and I are going back over there today. The reason I bring that up is because most people don't realize birding happens to be the #1 sport in the world. So if you want to attract people to the area, both local and long haul, that's an incredible piece to really highlight. Mayor, I really love your point in terms of tourism and looking at the infrastructure here, because I think for me, when I think of the work that tourism does, it's just not about bringing visitors in to spend a few dollars, which is important to our local businesses, but it's attracting other businesses to help create jobs. That, to me, is more meaningful, however you want to look at it, from a tax collection or whatever, but it's more meaningful in terms of helping the community support their families for many, many reasons. So I was very happy that you touched on that. Thank you.
And I didn't mention it, but that then creates the need for workforce housing. And it's in short supply in our community, where we have some ideas for some projects. There's been a lot of money put into affordable housing, but the workforce housing is, there's equal, if not greater, demand for that kind of housing. I'll know we're successful when our city staff can afford to live within the city.
Great. Thank you.
Chair Youngblood, or Commissioner Youngblood.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentations. Mayor Birdie, and thank you for touching on the topic of workforce housing. It's a theme that we in tourism hear about an awful lot, and something that we're very sensitive to and want to be cognizant of and supportive of. Do you have, by chance, and I don't mean to reciprocally poke a bear, but do you have any sense for the number, the quantity of vacation rental homes in the jurisdiction?
Yes. 60% of the homes in Yachats are second homes. And it's problematic in one sense, and in the other, they bring a lot to the community. And it varies. So I hate to generalize, but so of the 60%, some people come to this city and they're huge in terms of volunteerism and engagement. They come throughout the year, and that's a real asset to the city. There's another sort of cadre that comes for 2 weeks a year and doesn't want to be bothered and resents that they have to pay for a water connection when they're not here. And so sort of along that continuum, we see the impacts of second homes, and of course that does take housing out of the available stock for workforce. We do have limits on second home. We have a percentage limits for second home licenses. It seems to be working out pretty well for us. I think some people, there's about a 15% churn, did we figure?
For vacation rental
For vacation
licenses.
rental licenses. So, 15% of the people are excited to get it, and then they get it and discover that, it's expensive to run a vacation rental between the commission you pay to the people that are renting it, and then the costs to clean and et cetera. They start off gung-ho, and then after a year or two, they decide it's really not the model that they thought. It doesn't rent as often as they thought, et cetera.
And we do have a cap on our vacation rental licenses also, so we have a maximum of 125 in the community.
Oh, excellent. That's wonderful. And not to be preachy, but as somebody who runs and has spent my career running lodging operations, you could mandate for for hotels within the city that they prepare a go bag for all tourist accommodations, that they prepare a go bag for every accommodation. And in order to check a hotel's compliance, you'd have to make a phone call or a visit. Now, if you do that with 100 or so second homes, that becomes an exponentially larger compliance exercise. And by way of example, that is to say that the density that we achieve in hotel accommodations, the regulatory requirements that we meet are stringent and important, and it helps to create an economy that doesn't displace workforce housing with investment income, with people's second homes, people's visions of retirement, people's gobbling up lots of individual single-family assets in order to turn it into their small, private, less regulated nest egg or empire. And so as a hotel guy, but also as a member of the commission, it's really important to me that we have conversations in Oregon's remarkable destination communities about what it means to protect and defend these local communities from what can be the very difficult realities associated with tourism and over-tourism, because it's not the outcome that we want for our local citizens and communities. It's not what makes Yachats the gem of the Oregon coast, and we never want to detract from that experience. So I'm so grateful for your engagement, for the opportunity to talk about these topics, to ask questions, and to be able to enjoy your hospitality here in Yachats. Thank you.
Thank you. Make a note. Regulation.
And I know Marcus has some presentation bits to give too. So.
Oh, you guys are doing great. Keep going.
One thing
Aren't they doing good? They're doing good. Yeah.
To David and to our DMO, I think I see a bird watch video in the future.
Yes. Yes.
Ready?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, got the right button. It's a good start. Good morning, commissioners. We're so proud to have you here with us at the Oregon coast. Thank you for being with us. I wanted to stay on the theme of trails and transportation and give you just a couple examples of what we've been able to do with your investment in the Collaborative Regional Investment Program. Ride the Dirt Wave was not funded by that, but Ride the Dirt Wave, we invested in mountain biking trails heavily, the infrastructure, and so if we build it, we market it. And Ride the Dirt Wave was an extremely successful event, 3 different locations on the coast from north to south, and very well attended. You can see the percentages of visitation by mountain bikers to the coast, and there was an investment in a film which had 33,272 views since June, which most of the mountain bikers say that they came because of that video, so pretty effective there. Wanted to talk to you about the North Coast Express, which was funded by the Collaborative Regional Investment Program, and was essentially different in this is there are transit agencies and there are buses that do go into The Valley, however, this was different in 3 respects. One is that it was an express bus, so it went right from Sunset Transit Center near Portland straight to the coast nonstop. Hence the name Express. The other was that the 2 buses would go one to Astoria to Tillamook, and then they would crisscross during the daytime, so you could hop on and hop off and get to multiple cities. But the third very essential difference is that much of the congestion on the roads from the Portland metro area to the coast are day trippers. And so if you have a hope of getting those vehicles off the road, then you need to get them back over the mountain at the end of the day. And this was the only service of all the transit options that accomplished that goal. So goal 1 was to get cars off the road. Another goal was an accessibility feature to allow people who couldn't drive to get to the coast. And we're really proud to announce that of the surveyed ridership, 50% actually used public transportation in the Portland area to get to the North Coast Express bus. So they actually used a bus to get to the bus, which is pretty cool. And then 19% said that they were first-time visitors to the coast. About 20% were elderly. Many of them were saying they don't feel safe driving anymore. And then also of all the survey, the racial diversity of the ridership exceeded the state average to getting to the coast. So we're really proud of this pilot year. It was just 3 months, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it was really a learning year for us to see like who would ride it and refine marketing. So, and then the Oregon Coast Trail Foundation, we adopted the Oregon Coast Trail as our major destination development project back in 2017. And we've been at the table with all the state and federal land management agencies collaborating. There's a published Oregon Coast Trail Action Plan. And during that time, we've been methodically building the Oregon Coast Trail Foundation, which is a separate C3. And with your funding, we've been able to publish a strategic plan, which is integrated into the other plans for the Oregon Coast Trail. We've been able to finish a fund development plan because it will take tens of millions of dollars. These are very expensive projects. There's over 40 areas of the Oregon Coast Trail which come onto Highway 101 or county roads, and the goal is to remove those and keep people on the beach and in the forest. And then we published a micro-mobility assessment of the North Coast. We took all the transportation system plans from all the cities in Clatsop County and all the cities in Tillamook County, and we compared and contrasted them through the lens of micromobility to see where the plans spoke to micromobility or didn't. So that plan is also published and available for anyone to use and see. And we did apply for a couple grants, and right now I'm really pleased to let you know that the Murdoch Foundation is still in play. The grant, it's a capacity grant. This foundation has no staff yet, and so our final thing that we'd like to do with the foundation is staff it up, get a 3-year runway for some full-time staff. And the Murdoch Foundation, we're still in conversations with them. No guarantee, but all of the funding that you provided to us helped position the Oregon Coast Trail Foundation very well, and it is poised for success. And so thank you so much for all of the support in these areas, and I'll conclude the presentation. Any questions? Well, look at that. Did I turn it off? Okay.
Great presentation. Thank you. Just on the North Coast Express, what was your utilization rate, and are you going to continue that program or the success on that? Because travelers like to have their belongings with them and their cars, or be able to explore from there. So
yeah,
just a question on the utilization on that.
Yeah, the ridership was low this season. It was a learning year, and we've really focused a lot on research and data and high touch with the passengers to see what the experience was. The really plan is like a 3-year window, where first year is a pilot to learn, second year is really doubling down, filling the bus, and year 3, the goal is for it to be financially self-sufficient with ticketing. And it's Eco Shuttle is the company, a private charter service that operates this for us, and they run on biofuel. And so really, we had created a business plan, an operations plan, and we shopped it around to half a dozen charter services, saying, hey, here's a business plan. We ran all the numbers. It'll work within 3 years. And Eco Shuttle was interested, and so we're partnering with them. So yeah, it was low ridership, but we learned a lot on ticketing and the importance of the ease of ticketing. And Eco Shuttle was an amazing partner. The transit agencies on the coast really helped us understand, the routes, and so the routes and drop sites and all of those things. We really wanted to refine all of that. I would consider it similar to a soft opening for a restaurant, where you kind of try it on. But thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was kind of in line with my question. I mean, I heard the 50%, 19% here, there, low ridership. And I still would like to know how many people the first year have actually taken the Northwest Express. And then do you have, in terms of when you look at this long term, the first year, second year, third year, is there a goal or plan? What are you looking at? Because that piece is important.
Yeah.
Gives me some idea in terms of potential impact, if it's successful or not, a potential impact to help support the businesses here locally on the coast.
Yeah, the ridership was a little under 400. I think it was like 390 some. But remember, it was just Friday, Saturday, Sunday for just a few months. And the goal is to make it financially supported. We don't want it to have to run on grants or federal support. We really think it's going to be a private business opportunity, which is why we created the business plan and shopped it around. So the plan is to pass it off at least by year 3 with full buses of ridership, and by about $50, $60 a person at about 90% full would make it break even. And then, of course, they're they are mobile billboards, and so we can actually wrap some advertising into the revenue stream to make those goes. And I think, Cannon Beach, Seaside, Astoria, and Tillamook have very strong interests in decreasing vehicles in their communities and freeing up parking spots. So we think maybe there'll also be a little support for kind of like transportation infrastructure from somewhere. But the goal is to pass it off in a financially
okay, so if you got 400 the first year, what are your the second year, what are you looking at, 800,000, what?
Oh, second year we would anticipate many thousands.
Many thousands?
Yes, yeah. There are 54 passenger coaches, so there's a lot of seats on those buses, yeah.
Go ahead, Trish. Yeah.
This number of 300 to 400, what was the period? Or I know you said just 3 days. How many days? Over how many days you got these 400 people, or whatever this approximate number?
How many days of operation?
Yes.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't have that number off the top of my head, but it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, June, July, and August. So those yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I just want to thank Mayor Birdie and Bobby and Marcus and Joanne. I think she walked out, but there has to be champions in a community, and clearly you are such an incredible champion of this community. I'm also a Coos Bay City Councilor, and we've tried unsuccessfully for a number of years to get a library rebuilt. And so kudos to you for getting that accomplished. Kudos to recognizing that tourism obviously plays such a tremendous impact on your community, and using the dollars, the grants, the funds to do such great work in this community. It's exciting to see, and I just thank you for all of the work that you have done. I come here frequently, and it's been fun to see over the past few years just a transformation, and this community celebrating and acknowledging the Amanda Trail, and in recognizing that that story needs to be told. And so thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I have one more question, Marcus. That Northwest Express, you mentioned the Sunset is where it departs from. And, because here's the Sunset in Beaverton, right?
It's the Sunset Transit Center, and it has 4 bus lines and 2 MAX lines and 2 private charters and a park and ride all bundled.
Okay, so where's that center located?
Sunset Transit Center?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right off Highway 26, just outside of Portland, where 217 connects.
The zoo, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, same one I'm thinking of. Okay,
Mhm.
and here's Portland and here's the airport. Are there any plans or thoughts of looking, or maybe you've already done this, to see if that ridership would increase when you cut out one link of that, travel to get there? Would that, is that something you've looked at, airport or downtown Portland versus Sunset, which is up the hill by the zoo, or I call it Beaverton, is right on the border, right?
Yeah, we chose the Sunset Transit Center because it's the airport is quite a further distance away from the coast than the Sunset Transit Center is, and we chose that location because of the connectivity with the public transportation. It's the only place nearby that has 4 bus lines going right to it, as well as MAXs and private shuttles and a park and ride. So it's very accessible, and half the people actually took transit to the North Coast Express, which is pretty amazing. Like, they really used the service the way that we had anticipated and hoped. And so when we scale it up, we think that's going to grow proportionate. Downtown would also, if we did it from downtown, that would probably add another half an hour to the trip. And we don't think the connectivity would be as good because basically from downtown you can get to Sunset Transit Center by hopping a bus. And it's probably faster than actually driving a car to get to that park and ride. So we were very thoughtful, very strategic in the location that we staged it from. And to have the park and ride, again, if people did want to not use their vehicles, they'd have to drive into downtown and park their car somewhere. And there's time limits and whatnot. So it's a really convenient location, and the TriMet staff were really great to work with.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rowe.
Thank you to each of you for just sharing the projects that you're working on. I was excited to see your dream list, Mayor. I think that those are so important because people like you, you're here every day, you're working with tourism, but also living here. And I thought that your list, I don't know what you referred to it as, but I think it's a dream list of what you would love to see as you move forward. But what I especially appreciate is that every single thing on that list was, yes, tourist driven and certainly tourist facing, but also impacted the people that live here. And so thank you for your thoughtfulness and just as you move forward in thinking about what do we need here, what can we do to make things better. And then just switching gears, I have a question back to the bus. Just curious for each of you in your local shuttle and then also the express, are those bike friendly? Can you load a bike? And do you see any use that way?
I don't know if anyone brought a bike with them. That's not a metric that we were really paying attention to.
Tracking.
But it is possible to do that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same, but we don't have it yet, so we haven't seen it used yet.
Oh, right. But it's equipped.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
equipped for accessibility,
Yes.
but also for bike transportation.
Yes, and it has a wheelchair ramp on the back, and the seats can fold up so that a wheelchair can safely ride in
Okay.
it as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Marcus, Bobby, Mayor Birdie, thank you for welcoming us to your territory and to your town. We appreciate it, and thank you for your update today. Good
Thank you
luck.
for being with us.
Yeah. All right, I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time away from their busy schedules to join us for this welcome today. The work you continue to do to support this region and state is meaningful, and we applaud you. On Thursday, August 28th, the commission meeting notice was posted to the commission meeting webpage, and notice was sent through our industry communications, and a link to the meeting agendas were posted. Today's opportunity to hear from our partners is really an invitation to our partners to provide us with information, updates, and constructive thoughts regarding Oregon's travel and tourism industry. I'd like also to remind everyone that a comment form lives continually on our industry meeting page should you like the opportunity to provide us your thoughts and insights. Today we did not receive any public comments, so we'll move forward. With today's meeting being held in person, we have the opportunity for attendees to, sign up in person. I'm gonna keep going here. Sorry. All right, we get to move on to commission business. Moving on to commission business, I'd like to confirm that everyone has received and had a chance to review their commission packet, including the financials. Yes. I'd like to thank Vice Chair Patel for reviewing the financials with myself, Commissioners Hill and Rowe, Todd, Eddie Van Buren, Luna Garo, Juno Chang, the recently hired Director of Finance and Accounting, prior to this meeting, and as we do on a monthly basis. We had a healthy conversation regarding the state of the industry and how Travel Oregon is responding. Vice Chair Patel, please provide us with a summary of that financial update.
Thank you, Chair. Well, we met and reviewed the financials, which now include September TLT deposits received just this week. With the September deposit, we have received $10.5 million, to be precise, $10.49 million in TLT revenue, which represents 24.5% of budgeted $47.8 million. Fiscal year to date, TLT is up 8% compared to fiscal year 25. We continue to closely monitor TLT revenue, but this quarter's result is consistent with past performances and supports steady early year growth. Thank you.
But I don't even have that in here.
I'm done, so if you have
Oh, yeah.
questions.
So sorry.
If anyone has any questions?
Anybody have questions? All right.
Just one, I'm sorry. What was the revised revenue number with the September deposit?
$10.49 million.
For an annualized total?
24.5%.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And thank you for everybody that met. It was the first time for 3 of these commissioners to meet together and review financials, and a lot of conversations were had, and a lot of new people in that conversation, all making it work. Thank you very much for your energy. The CEO search process continues to move forward in alignment with the state's best practices and our deliberate and thoughtful approach to hiring this critical position. Carrie Westland has been very helpful keeping us focused and will continue to support our work during this period of transition, including leading initial staff engagement and review of commission policy, governance, and agency succession planning. Last week, we issued an intermediate request for proposal to a variety of qualified executive search firms, which is an important step in this process to ensure we have the right partner to assist us in this recruitment. In addition, last week, the governor submitted 2 new appointments for our commission to the Senate for confirmation. This timing is fortuitous as we are soliciting proposals from firms while we await our amazing new commissioners to be confirmed. This timing allows for these two administrative processes to conclude and for us to have a full commission ready, engaged, and participating in any formal actions and decisions related to the recruitment and hiring process for the next CEO. I know that there are many questions about what the next phase of this process looks like. We assure you that we remain transparent, deliberate, and inclusive in our path forward, and that any search firm selected must also be committed to this approach and to keeping you informed at each stage of this important work. Thank you very much for your patience with this process. Commissioners, we're now going to take action on approving minutes. You were sent the draft of our June and July 2025 Commission meeting minutes via email on August 28th. Are there any questions or comments regarding these documents?
Chair Willetts, I'll make a motion to approve the June and July minutes as presented.
I second that.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of approving minutes as dispersed, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. And with that, we are going to take a 10-minute break, and I'll be getting you back in here in 10 minutes. And I think at this point, thank you very much, Sylvia Kramen, for attending. Appreciate you keeping a close eye on us, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Good luck to all on the rest of the meeting, and thank you for all the good work that you do. Take care.
Yeah. All right.
You're the chair.
Yes, we're going to start without him. This is authoritative. Okay, thank you. And as chair, what I have just been notified I am, and I appreciate that. Reminded. It is my pleasure to throw a little curveball in here, and I have been associated with Drew Roslin with the Overleaf and Fireside Motel for a number of years, and he's been an inspiration to me on how to run a meeting, to be honest, and how to run a hotel properly, and how to engage with city. And I've invited Drew up to share a very meaningful story in my professional career, and something I hope to accomplish in my town as well. And that is his story of workforce housing and working with this town to accomplish some amazing things. And Drew, would you please share a quick bit of your story with workforce housing with this commission, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair Willetts and the commission. I know it's very brief, but we came, the coronavirus really upended everything. And on top of that, it really affected the housing in the area too, even more dramatically than what had happened before that. And we were losing staff because they were losing their housing in the area, either residents changing their long-term rentals to short-term rentals, vacation rentals, selling their homes, and the new owners not being able to get a license in Yachats because of the limitations, so they lost it, so they had to move out. And we lost some, it would always happen in the summer, we lost some really critical employees. Fortunately, we have extra land, and I wish I had taken those of you that were on the 804 Trail walk the other day, just after looking at the mushrooms with Jesse. It would have been really a 90-second walk to show you what we've done with workforce housing. I went to the city, we had extra land up by the highway. I mulled over for years building a little apartment complex there, but I didn't want to build something permanent on the west side of the highway. The land is really valuable on the west side of 101 along here. So we looked at some different options. All of the options from there was RVs, building a little RV park, or putting in temporary structures. What's a temporary structure? A tiny home. It comes in a trailer. You can leave it on the trailer, leave the wheels on. It can stay there forever, or it can stay there for a few years. And we looked at that, and quite honestly, we used the PPP money that we got to invest in 3 tiny homes. And we put those tiny homes up. I had to get a conditional use permit from the city because they don't allow RV parks in Yachats. I worked with the mayor, I worked with the managers, and I had to make a lot of promises. And the fact that we've, for 25 years, have done what we've said we're going to do, they trusted us. And we put 3 tiny homes in there. And we also have approval for 5 RV slots. And we've done 2 of those because the other 3 we haven't developed yet because I have to pump sewer uphill for them to have sewer access. So we did that. We got the approval, worked with the city. They gave us restrictions and conditions that we have to meet, and it's worked out very well. I just told Greg that they're all full right now, and I could really use those other RV slots, and I might start developing those sooner than later. One thing is it can't look like an RV park. So we have very strict requirements on all of our staff that live up there. And one other key element is it is an employment relationship with anybody that lives up there. It's not a tenant-landlord situation. And there's provisions within Oregon state law to do that. So if they lose their job with us for cause or voluntarily, they need to leave, and we don't have to go through a 3 or 4 month process to get them out of there. It's a much quicker process, so we can fill it with somebody else that works for us. So that's the quick and dirty version. Happy to answer any questions, but hope that was brief enough, Greg.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, Harish.
What was that law you said that they had to leave when they are out of employment or leave voluntarily?
In the contract, it's 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Now, you still have to go through a process if they don't. You just can't go in there and kick them out. But it starts at 24 hours instead of 30 days.
So, I mean, housing, everybody associates with hospitality and hotels and motels, but it's an issue for any industry, restaurants or even pharmacists and doctors and even nurses. So
Yeah.
it's, just to make a point, it's universal. It's not just us,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I recognize that. As Bobby said, her staff. You know, they could do it for their staff too. And the fortunate thing is we had land, and a lot of businesses don't have that luxury, but we had that, and we developed it, and we had sewer and water there already. Electricity was close by, so there was a lot of economies that we already had there. But anyway, it's worked out golden so far. We have 5 employees there that otherwise probably, well, I know would be gone. We wouldn't have them, and they're good, valuable employees.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. All right, Todd. Thank you for affording me that time, Commission, and Todd.
All right. Always happy to remind you that you are the chair. And if you want to call an audible on the agenda, that is your prerogative, sir. So, Commissioners, we have 2 updates, reports for you this morning. One is a bit of a look forward, and one's a little bit of a look back in the rearview mirror, because that second one, that latter one that I referenced, is going to be an opportunity for us to look back over some of the strategies that are part of our 10-year strategic vision and how we activated against those during the 23-25 biennium that just concluded on June 30. The other one, somewhat related to that, is at the Commission meeting in June, as you'll recall, the Commission, in adopting the budget and the plan for this biennium, said we want to open a large grant program over the course of this biennium. We'd like to put at least $2.5 million in it, and we'd like to set a floor of $500,000 for those programs. And with that direction, our stewardship investment team has gone back and looked at options for that large grant program and want to bring forward to the Commission today some questions that are helping us really inform how that large grant program will move forward, along with an update on the overall grant program and a kind of a timeline for how these grants will play out over the course of this upcoming fiscal year and the biennium. So with that, it is my pleasure to bring up Michelle Woodard, who is our Director of Strategic Investments, and Deb Vaughn, who is our Grants Manager, to provide us with this competitive grants update.
Thanks, Todd. Good morning, Commission. It's great to be here with you. Nice to see you today. I'm Michelle Woodard, Director of Stewardship Investments at Travel Oregon, and I'm joined by my colleague, Deb Vaughn, who is Travel Oregon's Grants Manager. As Todd mentioned, we're here to provide you an update on the competitive grants program as it relates to the Commission taking action during the June meeting, directing staff to open a large grant. Our focus today is touching on how we work as an investments team and the values that we instill in the work that we do, outlining the timing of the next cycle of funding, and the engagement points that we'll have with you and other key partners, sharing learnings that are guiding us, and in closing, we'll be posing questions to you for discussion. So last December, I had the pleasure of introducing you to the new members of the investments team, with Deb and John sharing their backgrounds with you. And since then, we've added an additional member, Suzanne, to our team. So as we've expanded, the agency has significantly gained more experience and expertise in grant making and its many facets, which I know I'm very excited about. More hands. As we've melded as a team, we're grounded through our values in all of the work that we do. This is a values-led process, starting with the agency values that are outlined in our 10-year strategic vision and moving into the values that we've committed to as an investments team, which are equity, integrity, and efficiency, with an emphasis in relationships. You'll see that the timeline that we're using provides opportunities for multiple points of engagement with different stakeholders and partners, which will allow us to create buy-in for the process in which the Commission arrives at the allocation of these major awards. We will continue to consider equity across the state while seeking ways to increase efficiency in our own processes and for our applicants. By sharing this work with you publicly today, we're demonstrating our integrity. There are different cycles that take place under the umbrella of competitive grants. You're going to see in the first slide that Deb shares with you. I think it's important for you to see the upcoming program not as a large grant, but as a larger scale investment program and a program that could be replicated in future grant cycles. We know that our industry partners need to know when our funding cycles are taking place so that they can determine where projects that they're planning may fit into areas that Travel Oregon is looking to support. We need to give folks a longer on-ramp to our programs. The Commission has asked staff to open a large grant in this fiscal year, and we're going to do that. The timeline you see presented to you may be a little bit longer than you had anticipated, but there's a lot of intentionality built into it. And this intentionality is grounded by our values.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. Good morning, commissioners. I'm glad to be here with you to walk you through this slide. It's got a lot of information about how the next competitive grant cycle fits into the broader context of the ongoing program. This somewhat complicated graphic illustrates the layered two-year plan that includes 4 overlapping funding cycles. So if you ever see me looking frazzled, it's probably because my brain is trying to switch tracks between one or more of these very colorful boxes. So as we begin the 2025-2027 biennium, Our goal is to continue to support diverse industry needs, to advance Travel Oregon's vision, and at the same time, fulfill the Commission's directive to provide larger award amounts in the next cycle. The green boxes on this slide outline our plan for that larger award cycle, which I'll focus on in more detail in the rest of this presentation. However, while we work to move that forward, we'll continue to monitor 2 cycles of ongoing projects supported by competitive grant dollars and review the impact of those past investments. The purple boxes show one of these cycles. Those are the planned checkpoints for the awards that we just announced in June of 2025. The blue boxes are the 4 projects from the 2023-2025 cycle that have extended finish dates due to unexpected delays. We're continuing to work closely with those projects to help them succeed as they navigate their final stages. Finally, the orange dashed boxes are suggested dates for a future cycle. As Michelle mentioned, our partners need time to plan ahead, so we're doing the same. We are expecting to launch a second competitive grant cycle before the end of this biennium, with probably smaller award amounts and a quicker turnaround time for funding. Okay. That was a lot of information. I'm glad we got you this slide ahead of time. I just want to take a breath before I dive into a little more detail about that larger investment cycle represented in green. Hopefully this is a much more digestible timeline that provides detail on what we can accomplish by using the previous slide's cadence to launch this higher award cycle that you requested. Our plan is that the LOI will open in fiscal year 2026 as instructed by the Commission, and awards will follow soon after in September of 2026. This timing offers space to connect with industry partners, to pipeline projects with a high potential for success, and to assure that our program structure remains connected to community needs. So throughout the coming year, we hope to work closely with several of you, providing more frequent updates with extra detail while being thoughtful about your available time. We'll provide an opportunity for all of you to preview the grant guidelines, offering input to staff before final publication. When that document is made public early next year, we invite all of you to help us solicit strong proposals, recommending interested applicants connect with investments team members. After a staff-led review of letters of intent is complete, we will invite several of you to offer feedback on the prioritized list and confirm that we are moving a strong slate of projects forward to the full application stage. As the number of applications under consideration is narrowed next summer, we would invite a few members of the Commission to actually serve on the review committee, working alongside industry professionals and subject matter experts to score the final slate of projects. And finally, at next September's meeting, there'll be an opportunity for your formal endorsement of the final awards. It means that 1 year from now, we will be sending out catalytic investments to propel the industry forward, and I am so excited to do that work. This ongoing series of connecting points between staff and Commission is important to assure Travel Oregon's goals are being met through a process that we can all stand behind. So while development of this process is led by staff, we plan to bring in additional expertise along the way, in addition to our work with you. We met with RDMOs earlier this week to invite their big picture thinking about high value investments, statewide multi-regional efforts already underway, and meaningful economic impact, as well as brainstorming large scale projects that they're already aware of. Peer funding agencies will be asked to provide feedback on the grant guidelines and the process, drawing on their knowledge of how to reduce burden on applicants and assure an equitable selection process. Industry professionals' perspective will help keep the focus of the program grounded in emerging trends and critical needs. And finally, our own internal resources. The 2017 large grant guidelines were developed prior to the Commission's adoption of our current 10-year vision. So as we align to move this program forward, we're committed to aligning the new guidelines with our strategy, research, and analytics team, as well as other Travel Oregon departments to confirm that we're tracking on key performance indicators. This tracking needs to be reflected not only in the program guidelines, but in the information that funded projects are required to report back to Travel Oregon, so we can include their impact in our calculations and show how their success helped contribute to our success. We want you to feel really confident about how we are thoughtfully developing this one round of funding so that it fits inside the larger structure of our existing competitive grant program. Like Michelle said, what we build here could be replicated in the future and could also work in tandem with other investment models. We're going to continue to adapt and evolve along with industry needs. However, because the funds for this program are drawn from the 10% of Travel Oregon's budget allocated in statute to a competitive grant program, we're starting with the language on this slide as our first parameter. It requires that there be an adjudication process or competitive element to select the final awards, and I've outlined our plan for that. Also embedded in the statute is the language of improvement, expansion, and promotion of the visitor industry, which must always guide our program structure no matter the award amounts. We've already begun our learning process by reviewing 2 recent industry surveys to help affirm and focus our early thinking. The Tourism Industry Partner Survey, also called TIPS, conducted in late 2024, shows consistent need for grant funding and specifically for infrastructure investment. Both sustainability and enhancing tourism perception are needs that align clearly with Travel Oregon's biennial plan. And it's significant to note that the 2 needs categories in this survey related to sustainability and regenerative tourism together make up an impressive 17% of responses. This information can help us determine the kinds of projects we could fund in this cycle that would support known needs. With the award amount minimum set at $500,000, we've included the information on this slide to level set for you the relationship between that amount and the operating budget size of the majority of Oregon's DMOs. The information on this slide was taken from a destination needs survey. You're getting a little sneak preview of that. That was conducted earlier this year. And I just want to point out that the award amount you've determined represents 50% or more of the annual budget of most DMOs in the state. This is one of the factors that we have to take into account when considering what kinds of organizations are most likely to be successful in this cycle. It requires additional capacity for organizations to steward an award of this size. The visible need for increased staffing capabilities provides another important consideration for cycle design, as does the percentage of respondents that would spend additional funds on marketing. We must assure that our funding helps recipients in the areas where they most need support. So with those slides, we've shared some of the current learnings that are guiding us as we move forward in this process, and now we want to learn from you about how to make this program meaningful. While we're certainly happy to take any questions that you may have, we would particularly love to draw on your expertise in considering the 2 questions on the slide in relation to this larger award cycle. In asking the first question about what impacts you're hoping Travel Oregon achieves with this investment, we aren't necessarily looking for specific projects or organizations at this time. Instead, we're curious about the ways these dollars can help us advance our mission and what measurable difference they might make for the Oregon visitor industry and the people who participate in it. We also know that we think better when we think together. Michelle and I are both verbal learners, so we would like to know from you what considerations we haven't yet included in our planning, and what other learnings, context, or nuance should staff think about. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, and Chair Willits, I'll let you facilitate. You're doing such a good job.
Thank you. Doesn't feel like it.
Look, gold star, gold star.
Yeah. Let's start silver. Commissioners?
I have questions.
Harish.
How would you be measuring the result of the success if somebody's granted this, because a lot of DMOs, as you said, they have less than 1 million budget, and then it's so broad that you can even ask for a position, and then how do we make sure it doesn't become an inefficient DMO with one extra employee and then the result is the same?
I think that is a very good question, and that is something that we'd be working. I think one of the ways we would address that is to be really clear when we publish the grant guidelines about what we expect successful projects to accomplish and what measures we and they would be using to evaluate that success. So depending on the focus area of this grant cycle, the investment impact that you all decide and we decide together that we want to make, I think we would lay those things out early in the process, which is why we want that planning time with our internal strategy teams, because Travel Oregon has developed KPIs and measurements for our impacts, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to learn from those and share how Travel Oregon is assessing impact with those organizations to lessen some of that evaluation and measurement burden on them.
So other question is, hope it never happens, but somebody gets $1 million and then we find out, or you find out after spending first 100,000 is not working. Will there be something that says, okay, let's stop here, or they still get their whole $1 million?
So the way that the competitive grant program has worked in the past is that it operates on a reimbursement basis. And so instead of giving all of the money up front and then stepping back, we provide a portion of the funding at the start of the grant period, and then through continued monitoring and communication, we allocate additional funds or pay out additional funds. They're already allocated, but pay out additional funds as the applicant demonstrates success. And so I would anticipate that, especially with a large cycle like this, we would structure it similarly. So there would be checkpoints along the way. And if there reached a point where the organization was unable or unwilling or unsuccessful in continuing the project, that we would discuss ending the funding early.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, Deb, thank you very much. Great presentation, and I love your question that you presented to the Commission. You know, first of all, I know this is a lot has changed recently in the environment in which we live in, mm-hmm. but I still say this. For me, the most important thing is that we continue with the diversity, equity, and inclusion lens as we move forward to these grants, because I've been very fortunate as I've traveled around the state to see the impact that it's had on many communities. And I'm going to use Antelope for an example. Just going over there, seeing what has been accomplished. People like Brittany, I value tremendously, and having people like that to come not just to the Commission, but share the work and how much it's impacted our community with the rest of the state. Because I think from a communication standpoint, the more that we continue to share the results of your work, with the grants, it'd be very helpful. And if you haven't been over to Antelope, Todd, you know it probably better than anyone. I think it's an important piece of the work that you do. And Todd knows me quite well. I'm very direct. When I see something I like, I have no problems in effectively communicating. Thank you. But with that diversity, equity, and inclusion lens, as long as you continue to keep that, that's very important to me. That's all I'm trying to say.
Thank you.
I want to say, as always, thank you, first and foremost. But I appreciate the fact that we're now going to lay this program against the 10-year strategic vision. We've seen the success of that with so many of our other programs, right? So, in speaking of, the diversity lens, the racial equity lens, making sure that we're, supporting that work, which you have done. I think we did that in the last grant cycle, and you did that very successfully. One of the things And we're always reminded with these presentations that these are life-changing and these are also community-changing, right? So the economic development that is generated from these grants is so incredibly important. I have experienced it firsthand living in rural Oregon as a Coos Bay City Councilor, the work that this agency has done and continuing to drive economic development into rural communities. I know we had a lengthy discussion at our last meeting in June talking specifically about the large grant programs. And so one of the things I would challenge this group to think about is making sure that those grant funds are multi-regional. If we're going to put that level of investment into a project, I would like it to touch multi-regions. Maybe you've already talked about this. When we're talking about big dollars like that, I don't even know if we can do this, so I'm looking at Todd. What about matching funds, right? So have we had those conversations, and forgive me if I should know this, conversations about maybe some matching dollars when we're dealing with, big dollars like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And those conversations have already begun. And while the last competitive grant cycle did not require matching funds, we certainly communicated that an organization that brought matching funds into the process would be more competitive. It is a stronger application. And so I'm already thinking about with these larger dollars, a match provides some level of security and confirmation of the success that I think, Commissioner Patel, you were getting at. How do we assure that the organization will be able to successfully complete the project? And that's a consideration.
Okay.
Commissioner Rowe.
While you guys are discussing, along that same vein, help me understand the way that you can help a smaller organization or a smaller community show that they can make this happen through a match. So you said something in your presentation, and I'm sorry I missed it, about an investment team that you'll start letting people who are applying speak with that. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? And maybe that will help me understand how we do show equity throughout the state in smaller regions in helping them achieve a place at the table where we're not just competing with a bigger organization or a bigger community that's going to have those kinds of funds available at the ready. Mm-hmm. So maybe speak to that a little bit more.
Of course. Yeah, sorry to use shorthand that might not be familiar to you, but our investments team is the group of the four of us that Michelle manages. And so Michelle is a member of the leader of that team. It's myself, Dawn Smallman, and then Suzanne Fallon-Tchaikovsky, who's joined our team. So I would look to, in order to support organizations, I would be looking to do a similar outreach strategy as we did in the last cycle. So that included one-on-one conversations with interested applicants and myself. It included a series of informational webinars, not only to talk about the program goals overall, but specific strategies for finding success in impacting underserved populations, in presenting a strong budget. So there's some learning opportunities there as those applicants prepare to put in their application. And then more specifically, helping smaller communities find success. I think I would draw on what Commissioner DeNovo just pointed out, that with these larger investments, there's probably a desire to have a multi-community, multi-regional impact. And so I'd be looking for ways that those smaller communities could partner with other entities or other communities to leverage a larger project and find some success. But Michelle, did you want to add?
The only thing I would add to it is I think as part of this learning and developing what these guidelines look like, that's where we had the slide of who will be successful in this program. And we do want to have this lead up in time. So that's why there is the bit of extended timeline that's going to help us have some of these conversations that Deb's talking about with some of these smaller communities. But they might not be ready for this right now. They might not be prepared for it. And that's also where we're looking at this cycle being something that could be replicated, right? So these conversations with smaller communities, just allowing them to think about what can we do in our area? How can we collaborate with others to come in the future, potentially, for other larger scale investments? So I think it's a balancing act because we want We don't want to eliminate people from the start, right? So we're trying to find ways to engage with them initially and set them up for success through our programs. And that means that we have to be thinking about in the long term what large-scale investments look like. Is this just a one-off that we're doing, or is this actually something that's going to be replicated, be something people can plan for a biennium from now, knowing that, hey, it makes sense for us to have a program that runs at $500,000 or more, because there's communities out there that are now actively engaging. They're feeding into one of our smaller grant programs to have some of these really monumental successes in their community. And similar to what happened with Wheel of the World, where it was a collaborative effort from the coast that really spiraled this engagement across the state, where Central Oregon started investing their own funds in this. So it wasn't through Travel Oregon Funds. So I think, again, we're trying to lay out an avenue for all to see themselves in it. But their first step might just be learning where they are in the process, as opposed to, oh, they're ready for these funds. So I think that's where we're trying to carry people through a spectrum.
I would thank you, Michelle, because I was add on to that. That's why I included in that initial timeline slide the orange dotted plans for a future cycle, because that's the other piece of that on-ramp that Michelle was talking about, is letting people know that if this cycle isn't a good fit, which happens regardless of award size, I have those conversations every cycle, letting people know when they can expect a next opportunity, and then what resources can we direct them to in the meantime that will help them get there. And that's where referrals to other Travel Oregon programs are helpful. We refer to other funders, and we look at technical assistance and professional development supports as well.
I think my only comments would be how we continue to run the small grant program. I would never want to see a match. Again, we've seen the effectiveness of giving those dollars, but when we talk about, one of the larger funding opportunities, I think matching grants, I don't know what that dollar looks like, but amount looks like, but I think that we need to, as a commission, consider that.
Michelle and Deb, I want to thank you for the presentation, and certainly want to thank Dawn and Susan's participation as well. And to Travel Oregon, I really appreciate Travel Oregon, including the commission in this process. That means a great deal, I believe, to all of us. And certainly providing that runway, not only for those applicants, but for the commission to on board in this process. So my question in that onboarding is, we have our December training, and I was hopeful there might be an opportunity for us to dedicate some time in understanding the scope of responsibility for those commissioners participating in the grant process. And I think we spoke about 2 years ago to the date about KPIs and the impact these grants, whether small or large grant opportunities, are having within the communities and the industry. And I look forward to further discussions about that. Yeah, thank you.
Great presentation. I really support the comments from the commission here. Other considerations, I just completed a grant application for our marketplace concept we're working on. And one of the criteria was a video application. And the video application really allowed us to convey our message, what that project's going to be. And in past applications, there's a paper form with all the technical stuff, but the video application allows you to really talk about the project, bring in partners, and so I think that was really impactful. I think for the organization that was reviewing the applications, and then also I support the some type of match funding, whether it's in-kind, gap funding, just because skin in the game does add a little more motivation for the project.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for the suggestion of the video applications. I know South Dakota Arts and Tourism Commission has moved several years ago to video applications, and they saw a huge uptick in applications from tribal entities because not everybody tells their best story, and this is not just specific to tribal entities, but not everybody tells their best story in writing. Some of us are verbal communicators, and so opening that up to me is an accessibility consideration, so thank you for that.
All right. Well, Michelle and Deb and Dawn.
I'm so sorry,
Oh,
Chair
I'm
Mills.
sorry.
I was slow to raise my hand. I apologize. Hello. Thank you both for the presentation today. Thank you, fellow commissioners, for really thoughtful questions and feedback. And I try to digest these things kind of in the context of everything that we're discussing, both as a commission and even in meetings like this today. David, your celebration of diversity, I think, is so critical, and making sure that we pursue opportunities like this with that lens. We've discussed privately and collectively at different times the Mark Twain quote that travel is fatal to prejudice. I know that David's work in international tourism has been very, very instrumental in a lot of the success that we've seen. When I think of the story that Commissioner Gremmels shared a few minutes ago about his visit to the Royal Horticultural Society in England, and the significance that carries for Oregon as a tourism destination, and what it can mean for us when we do these, again, a theme this week, these bold, creative, enterprising actions that separate us from our competition, because make no mistake, this is always a competitive environment in which we work. When I think of your comments, past Chair DeNovo, as it relates to making sure that we touch all 7. If we're going to consider a large grant opportunity, that we really want to make sure it is of benefit to all 7 of Oregon's tourism regions and our statewide economy, because the consequences of a big investment are, well, big, I guess, if that's not redundant again. It's through these lenses, through international travel, through your discussion. I immediately thought, for example, Commissioner Gremmels, that we have nonstop air service between London Heathrow and Portland on British Airways. That may not be as strategic an investment for Travel Oregon to participate in a program like the Royal Horticultural Society if it weren't in a market where there is direct access. And where my brain is drawn through all of this is the conversation as it relates to opportunistically reopening a large grant consideration, is that one of the catalysts for this discussion was the restoration of nonstop Asia air service. And we've all seen stories about the impact of Asia air service in the past and what it has meant to our market, what it means for some of our biggest employers, and what international travel can and should mean to our statewide economy. And of course, PDX is the gateway to international travel throughout Oregon. So I know that one of the conversations that we began early was being supportive of this as an opportunity to help the Commission take a big and bold stance in considering the restoration, contributing to the restoration of nonstop Asia air service into PDX. And so as I think of all of these things, even down to the idea of the necessity of matching grants to protect a big investment. I mean, we generate $45 million in annual revenue. 10% of that is $4.5 million in annual contributions to our statutorily mandated competitive grants program. And so the kinds of numbers we're talking about really would represent a disproportionately large investment for us. And I appreciate the idea of making sure that we secure that investment in ways that would be less risky than some of the really thoughtful small grants that we attribute. Maybe the last thing that I would say in follow-up to all of that is thank you for the increased engagement with the Commission. We receive a presentation on grants every year when we do our annual Commission training, and I think that the opportunity to allow maybe a committee of members of the Commission who are particularly passionate about something like the grants program to be able to participate on a more regular cadence. Deb, you said subject to the time investment that members of the Commission may have, you may find an audience in certain Commission members who would really like to be in partnership with you and then communicate back with the Commission on ways to help impact Commission engagement, direct engagement in the grants program. So it's such a fun and spirited conversation. I am always touched, emotionally touched, when we get to talk about your work. So thank you.
You know, Commissioner Youngblood, I appreciate your comments. Sorry, Chair. And I want to say this, with the large grants, what's also in the back of my mind has always been, you know, when you touched on the scope of work, but I look at that return on investment. When I think of the Canadian market currently where we're at 30, 35% down, but the impact is not just into the Portland area, but it's throughout the state. You know, these visitors are going to Central Oregon, Eastern Oregon. It's very critical. So when I think of the large grants, my thought is not just the local, but looking at the long haul within the U.S. and then the international market and how we can really leverage and really reposition ourselves, because I've seen the work. But my success in the international market, I can't really say it's my success. It's just a collaborative effort, because I would not have received any visitors or really got myself positioned without the work of Travel Oregon and other partners, Brand USA, throughout. And so the relationships that Travel Oregon has had over the years, I've been very fortunate to travel with Todd and the team and seeing what they do and how they do it, and very quietly, like many, leverage that. So when I think of these large grants, that's what I look at is, what does that return looks like, not just local, but how much is that going to really impact the small businesses throughout the state? If I'm in, St. John Day, Oregon, if I'm in Antelope, if I'm in Enterprise, other places, it's like, is this investment, is outreach, is it really adding value to those communities? So I appreciate the work you do, but I think that's the piece, is every step of the way that we look at the criteria and what have you and say, what's the return on the investment as it relates to our communities, whether or not helping to bring other corporate business into the area, to help create jobs. I think there's opportunities there that we need to continue to look at that, and that we can continue to leverage these grants more to help all the communities throughout the state of Oregon.
Thank you.
Good one. I just want to, sorry, I know we're so chatty today. I just want to, I really agree with Commissioner Youngblood's comment about, we talk a lot about commissioner engagement, and he just recommended perhaps commissioners being more involved, not just, sorry, am I taking things away from you? Okay, I'll just be quiet, and Chair Willits, I will return it back to you.
Thank you so much. Where was I? Yeah, here we go. Kevney, Michelle, Deb, Dawn, not here. All of you passionate about this. And you did an amazing job presenting. And then you did a more amazing job asking the questions from the commission. And we owe you answers. Those answers aren't necessary. And I'll give you mine. And I'm a visual person myself, and I see the state of Oregon filled with water and a drop going in some place, and the echoes of that resonating throughout the state. That's my vision with these larger grants. If you're a visual learner. And you really afforded us an opportunity to share that, our visual or our structural sense of answering these questions, but you also allowed us aspirational time. If we take the time as a commission, sit with that question and respond to you with our aspirational desires for these investments. And a great one is the other considerations that your staff and your staff should consider when doing these. That's a wonderful opportunity for us. I would expect that the commission would take time and get back to you with those who would like to receive those communications, because you asked for them.
Sounds great.
Yeah, we did ask for them, and we think this is important to engage the commission in this
Yes.
way, especially as the commission is the body that moved this forward.
Yes.
So we want to engage with you.
Where would you like those sent? Where would they be best served to be?
You can send those to myself and copy Deb on it. So we can provide you. We'll make sure Matthew has our contact
Okay,
info, and he'll share it
perfect.
with you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
You saw the passion for it as we got going here, to articulate that. I think you will find that commissioners are raising their hand to, if an opportunity arises to sit on that review panel. You have engaged commissioners that would like to be a part of that. So thank you for that offer. And too bad you're going to have to deal with people fighting for those positions, I think. So thank you very much. And commissioners, thank you for your comments. Sorry to interrupt, Lucinda, but you stole some of my thunder, Scott. Yeah, thank you very much for your time today and presenting to us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Deb. Great job. And commissioners, if I may, if in doubt about where to channel any responses, any additional thoughts that you may have, and you may have several. I mean, you may shoot an email off this afternoon, and you may have some more thoughts over the weekend and send another email on Monday. All good. Please. Feel free to channel those through Matt also, and Matt will make sure that they get to Michelle and to Deb. You can certainly communicate with Michelle and Deb directly, but if you don't have their email addresses, I know you have Matt's, and I know you know how to track him down. You can certainly funnel it all through Matt. So, all right. With that, commissioners, we are on to our closing update and report for you today. And as I mentioned, this is the one where we're taking a little bit of time to pause and look in the rearview mirror at some of the work that was done during the 23-25 biennium. So it is my pleasure at this time to invite Petra Hackworth, who really is the VP of Insights and Impact, unlike what I gave to Kevin yesterday. But Petra is joined by Hannah Hicks, who is our strategy manager. So I will turn it over to the two of you to provide our look back report.
Great. Thank you so much. So nice to be with all of you commissioners here in beautiful Yachats. Yes, I am Petra Hackworth, the Vice President of Insights and Impact, not of the brand team, just so we all know who's who. I'm so happy to introduce Hannah Hicks to you today, who is on the Insights and Impact team with me as our strategy manager, and I think she has someone special she'd like to say hello to.
Yes, to show how important this is to me, I invited my family to tune in all the way from North Carolina, so shout out Mom, Dad, and Luke. Hope I make you proud.
Hi, family. I've met her mom before, so it's lovely that she's watching right now. So Hannah was promoted into the strategy manager role in the spring. She was on Brian's team as the research specialist, also on the Insights and Impact team. So we're just thrilled to have her as a strategy manager. Her focus will be to ensure that the Travel Oregon team accomplish as much as we can of the 10-year vision by the end of it, and also to implement effective biennial plans for us to focus on. You will see that she has hit the ground running, and also, just to make sure you all know, this is her first commission meeting where she's presenting. She has attended commission meetings before. So in today's presentation, you'll hear about the strategic progress of the 23-25 biennium that helps us work towards our 10-year vision. We'll be focusing on key highlights of 7 of the strategies in the 10-year vision. This is a new report for Travel Oregon. We really thought it was important to take a moment to pause, to look back on the 2 years we just accomplished, and it's just as important as the work we have ahead of us. So please look in your inboxes. Like the next couple weeks, you'll be getting a written report that you can do some deeper review. And this report, just as a reminder, is not an exhaustive list or report out on all the work we do at Travel Oregon. There's so many projects and programs that we do that will not be highlighted in this 23-25 look back report. This is really highlighting 7 of the 19 strategies that we focused on in the last 2 years. So you've seen this slide before. The yellow star is where we are now. We just started the 25-27 biennium. And again, we're looking at the 23-25 biennium that we just closed up. And time is flying. At the end of this biennium, we will be halfway through the 10-year vision, and we have a lot of work to do. So I don't know if that's surprising to hear, but it's like, whoa, we're almost done with 5 years. So it's pretty exciting times. This is a slide you've also seen before, but we thought it was a good time to remind you all that each biennium we select a portion of the 19 strategies to focus on in the biennium. Once we have the strategies decided on, we pick a team lead. They put a cross-functional team together, and they are charged with action planning, budget requests, and also execution of the action plan supporting our strategic vision KPIs. So using feedback from our tourism industry partner survey, we've already talked about that earlier today. This is a survey that we all use quite heavily. We call it TIPS internally. And also with the selection criteria the exec team created quite a few years ago, Travel Oregon focused on 7 of the 19 strategies in the last biennium. And focusing on 7 strategies has allowed for deeper engagement and stronger cross-functional execution, which is really a goal of Travel Oregon, to work as cross-functionally as possible. So once the strategies are selected, like I mentioned, there's a team lead that is chosen, and they put together a cross-functional team to expand existing work and kickstart new programs. So as Hannah walks through the wins from the last biennium, keep in mind, again, this is just a snapshot of the work. It's not an exhaustive list of all the programs and projects that we complete and work on at Travel Oregon. So commission meetings are a great time to reground everyone on Travel Oregon's objectives, which I know you're all familiar with. Oregon's tourism economy is flourishing. Oregon is striving to be a place of equity. Oregon delivers remarkable experiences, and Oregon respects its natural environment. So, and you'll see here the strategies that were selected for the action plans in the 23-25 biennium. So you'll notice as we walk through this, we will not be talking about the environmental objective. This is work that we're really just starting. We're just starting the planning phases. We're working on the KPIs, so you'll definitely be hearing more about this objective in the future. So to start us off, I'll have Hannah share with us some strategic wins under the economy objective. Hannah, take it away.
Thank you, Petra. I'm really excited to be presenting alongside of you. My new role is quite special because while I help facilitate the strategic planning process and project manage strategic work at a high level, for the most part, I am just standing by as my amazing colleagues execute this great work. They are the experts and have that deep level understanding that I can't possibly possess for the dozens of projects I'm going to talk about today. Therefore, I ask that if you have a specific question on one of these projects or want to know more, then please let us know and we will follow up with you and make sure that the appropriate staff member who has that expert knowledge can get directly to you, or I might ask if they're in the room to speak up as well. You might also feel a sense of deja vu because we have referenced many of these projects I'm about to speak on in the strategic plan progress report and have provided deep dives at various other commission meetings, including yesterday. Great, so we'll get started with under the experiences objective, the advanced perception of tourism, or excuse me, the economy objective, the advanced perception of tourism value strategy, which you can see on the screen. Calls for improving perception of the value of tourism, increasing advocacy among the workforce, residents, and policymakers. The first win under this strategy that we want to highlight for you is our widely successful resident sentiment study, which I actually am qualified to talk about, since that was largely under my last role along with Javier Prada Torres. And under this, we implemented a strategic outreach campaign for this study, resulting in more than 6,000 respondents to this survey, with representation from all of Oregon's 36 counties. And I want to shout out to the Welcome Centers for distributing the QR codes for this study and garnering an additional 500 responses for us. So really proud of that initiative. And the high number of responses to this study allowed us to create a separate tourism workforce sentiment study. So from this study, we were able to baseline data on support for tourism and perceived social, economic, cultural, and environmental impacts for both the workforce and residents. And then, since a component of the strategy is policymaker engagement, we developed the Policymaker Outreach Score, a tracking tool that measures engagement between Travel Oregon staff and policymakers by capturing dates, contact methods, audiences, topics, and outcomes. Third, we increased policy engagement from the tourism workforce via industry trainings on policy topics and activations such as National Travel and Tourism Week, which allowed a greater public understanding of the value of tourism through the press push on our economic impact report. We created a TLT, and for my family watching, that stands for Transient Lodging Tax, anniversary video as an industry and community education tool to showcase the value of tourism, which we premiered at the Governor's Conference, you might remember. Finally, we used findings from that workforce and resident study to inform the Improve Visitor Behavior Action Plan for this current 25-27 biennium. Now we're going to pivot to our experiences objective and share a snapshot of associated strategies active in the last biennium. So the first one in this objective I'll talk about is attract and retain tourism workforce, which is about advancing educational and career opportunities to develop, attract, and retain our tourism workforce. Over the past biennium, Travel Oregon took deliberate steps to make sure workforce development was actively advanced across the state. We started by building stronger connections with workforce leaders. Travel Oregon cultivated relationships with 5 of Oregon's 9 local workforce boards, helping ensure that tourism jobs were part of the broader workforce development conversation. These included East Cascades Work, Clackamas Workforce Partnership, Work Systems, Rogue Workforce Partnership, and Eastern Oregon Workforce Board. Additionally, relationships with the remaining 4 boards have been cultivated by the Oregon Hospitality Foundation in close partnership with Travel Oregon. So we've really had touch points with all 9, which is really great. These relationships laid the groundwork for stronger partnerships and more awareness about the real value of tourism careers. We also refined our tourism industry partner survey, or TIPS, by adding workforce-specific questions. That change gave us more actionable data and a better understanding of what our industry partners need when it comes to recruitment, retention, and professional development. In addition, we continue to show up in the spaces where tourism and workforce development intersect. We sponsored the annual Working Together conference and hosted a panel focused on hospitality, helping shift perceptions and spotlight the tourism industry as a serious career path. One of the most tangible tools we developed was the Travel Oregon 101 video, a foundational resource designed to help people new to the industry or those exploring it understand what Travel Oregon does, what we offer, and how we can support them. It's a great example of how we're investing in industry onboarding and long-term education. All this work contributed to a measurable impact. Industry employment grew by 480 travel-generated jobs, bringing the total to over 121,000 tourism jobs in Oregon in 2024. And then now we're at Assist Communities in Crisis, providing resources and assistance to those businesses and communities that are experiencing or have experienced crises. So work under this biennium lived under our industry communications team, and you might recall that Julia Amato presented on this work about a year ago. The big win of the strategy was the development of a crisis communications plan for the agency and industry in consultation with other state tourism boards, Oregon state agencies, and Travel Oregon's communications PR firm of record. This was a huge lift for our team. And during this process, we recognized the need for a plan inclusive of the industry as a whole, rather than solely for the agency, and subsequently formed an industry task force with representatives from each region. We supported the 5 regions and sub-region of Tualatin Valley that did not have existing crisis communications plans by enlisting our PR agency of record and investing funds to support the creation of regional crisis communications that align with the Travel Oregon plan. Finally, in alignment with the recommendations from Governor Kotek's Central City Task Force, we granted $600,000 to Travel Portland to assist with Portland's recovery, and gave another $300,000 in contracts with 6 destination-based organizations. Over 70% of the grant funds received were distributed directly to local tourism businesses and local event producers through grants and sponsorships, and the remaining funds supported programs designed to lift up restaurants, food carts, and BIPOC makers. This strategy is actually a combination of 2 strategies, as you'll notice, that were combined due to high amount of crossover in goals. This is our expand destination management engagement strategy that provides timely feedback loops with different communities and partners, as well as reduce high visitation pressures by investing in niche product development. So this work largely lived under our Destination Stewardship Department, with the most significant project being the Central Oregon Destination Management Studio, which again, you have received deep dive presentations on in the past. For those that don't know, the purpose of the studio was to build a long-term strategy for managing tourism in a way that enhances both visitor experiences and community livability. Over 9 months, we worked with a diverse steering committee to establish priorities and ensure the strategy reflected community needs. From there, we launched an extensive engagement phase, holding 6 community sessions that brought together more than 150 partners from across the region. These conversations built trust, surfaced shared priorities, and equipped local leaders to take action. The learnings from this studio are already shaping work in this region, in this biennium, laying a strong foundation for long-term destination management in Central Oregon, balancing the needs of visitors with the well-being of local communities. We also set important baselines like resident sentiment and tips to better understand the tourism ecosystem and identify pressure points, which is something I presented on actually in Redmond as part of this destination management studio. So you'll notice research and data informs many of our strategies. Also, we partnered with the Travel Foundation, a leading international sustainable tourism organization, to help us lead the development of a common understanding and sample case studies of destination management tactics that could be applicable in Oregon. We then held 2 sessions at Destination Boot Camp on these topics, a multi-day event and designed to bring together Oregon's tourism industry leaders focused on destination development, management, and stewardship. Okay, then I think this is the last strategy in this objective, support development of experiences for underserved. So this includes development of new and existing tourism-related facilities and products to better serve historically and currently underserved and under-resourced communities. So the past biennium, we made major strides towards making Oregon a more inclusive and sustainable destination. Today, I'm going to talk about 2 of those projects. The first project is Wheel the World, and you were lucky enough to hear from the dynamite Kate Sapel and Kevin Wright yesterday on this project. She and others are the experts in this space. I'll only give a brief summary. I think it's worth celebrating more than once. As a reminder, through our partnership with Wheel the World, Oregon became the first state in the nation to be accessibility verified. We worked with communities across the state to access more than 300 businesses. Today, travelers can find over 750 accessible listings across 43 Oregon destinations. Beyond verification, each business received tailored improvement reports, and we're integrating this work into TravelOregon.com and the Otis platform to make accessible travel planning seamless. In September, we're launching a statewide marketing campaign to showcase this milestone and position Oregon as a national leader in inclusive travel. More to come. Second, we launched Recreation Ready in 2024 to help communities design outdoor recreation projects that boost local economies, foster equity, and protect natural resources. In its first phase, we partnered with the 4 rural communities you see on screen on projects like water recreation, trail development, and dark sky tourism. Through our collaboration with Empowering Access, a disability equity and inclusion consulting group, accessibility was built into planning from the very beginning, ensuring these new experiences will be welcoming to all. Together, these two initiatives reflect Travel Oregon's commitment to building tourism economy that is inclusive, community-driven, and sustainable. Now we're moving on to our equity strategies, but you'll notice that equity was emphasized in other strategies as well. So just because it does not live in this objective does not mean it's not implemented with an equity lens. So this is the strategy of Elevate Voices of Underserved Communities, which you heard Lisa Edel speak about yesterday. So I'm really happy to celebrate this work again of our amazing industry relations team. In this biennium, we continued to build meaningful relationships with our tribal partners. We held virtual and in-person meetings with Oregon's 9 tribes to discuss defined strategic priority areas and special projects such as signage, Oregon Guide to Indian Country, asset development, and communications. These meetings also allowed space for guest speakers and problem solving. And a new area for us this year was that we developed partnerships with 18 Pride festivals across the state, totaling $68,000 in sponsorship dollars. At the Oregon Governor's Conference on Tourism, which most of you attended, you might have noticed we emphasize underserved communities through our accessibility vendors and wide representation of breakout and keynote speakers. In addition, new during this biennium, we hosted 3 She Leads events across the state, celebrating women in tourism and hospitality. Thanks to the industry relations team, we have built continuity and trust through intentional, respectful, sustained community outreach. And then this is the last strategy I'll speak on. Integrate DEI agency-wide, emphasized internally and looking at from programming to procurement to employee recruitment and training. Over the past biennium, Travel Oregon made steady progress in embedding equity and inclusion throughout the organization. Here's a few highlights we're proud to share with you. All hiring teams completed an unconscious bias training, a structured model that equips staff to recognize bias and make equitable hiring decisions. When interviewing, we employed a standard rubric in order to ensure that each candidate received equal consideration and implicit bias couldn't play a role. This, coupled with a more diverse candidate base, resulted in an increase in diverse hires to the agency. This strategy is an area that Travel Oregon continues to invest strongly in, so you'll hear more about that, I'm sure. So that concludes the wins portion of our look back report. We want to emphasize that these strategies that I've been discussing do not close at the end of that biennium, rather they are ongoing. And as a reminder, we are in the process of finalizing a written report that you can expect by the end of the month. It will be also published on our website on the 23-25 strategic plan page. We plan to do this report every 2 years, so stay tuned. So we just discussed a lot of positive wins, and I want to take a moment to address that we also gained some key learnings in this work as well. At our August quarterly business review, we dove deep into the challenges faced with implementing this work. Today I will share a snapshot of that discussion. First, we learned the importance of definitional alignment. For example, under the strategy Elevate Voices, we had to define our terms under-resourced and underserved to ensure we're speaking the same language and aligning our programs appropriately. We also heard from staff that it felt like some strategies were expedited before other more foundational work had started, which is feedback we're taking into future selection processes. Flexibility is key. Some of these action plans were created during COVID or before the program lead was identified. So once those leads were identified or new staff were hired, we used their expertise to pivot the plans when necessary, as some things no longer made sense. Lastly, program leads managing large-scale initiatives often face capacity constraints while also maintaining their core delivery responsibilities. This feedback helps us improve our annual and biannual planning processes to hopefully avoid that as much as we can in the future. Like we said at the beginning, it's important not only for us at Travel Oregon to look to the future and plan, but also look back and see what we can learn from past experiences. Now we'll finish the presentation with an overview of our progress towards key performance indicator goals, which will seem familiar from past presentations by the larger-than-life Brian Mullaney. Over the course of the biennium, the team made immense progress in cementing our KPIs, tracking KPI baselines, and establishing goals for our KPIs. As of now, we have 16 of 18 KPIs baselined and 13 of 18 KPIs with goals established. Our aim is to meet or exceed all of our KPI goals by the end of June 2032, the end of the 10-year vision. Additionally, the team has created the new 10-year strategic vision dashboard pictured on this slide and published in the latest strategic plan progress report to help both the agency and the industry track progress towards our shared goals. I'll now cover our progress towards the KPIs that have goals set. Here you see our KPIs for Oregon's tourism economy, which are visitor spend, tax revenue, and tourism employment. While our economic prosperity indicators such as visitor spend and tax revenue are showing positive growth, the pace will need to accelerate to meet current 2032 targets, highlighting a key area of strategic focus going forward. These KPI focus areas are being addressed in the 25-27 biennium through action plan work and other strategic initiatives within the organization. We remain confident that we can move our KPIs closer to the goals over the next 2 years while maintaining KPIs that are already meeting their goals. Now on the screen, you will see resident sentiment data, including resident perceptions of the value of tourism across 4 dimensions, measured by our biennial resident sentiment study. These results came from our study fielded in 2024, and as you saw, informed multiple strategies in the last and current biennium. The blue bars represent positive perception, and the orange represents negative perception. To quote the research guru himself, Javier Parada Torres, we want to see tall blue bars and short orange bars. Our goal is for positive perceptions to exceed negative and positive perceptions score 3.1 or higher. We met all our goals here. There's also opportunity to improve perception among specific community groups, particularly residents of color, whose views tend to be less favorable of tourism's impacts than the general population, which is something that also informs our strategic initiatives. The findings from the study help inform a number of our strategies. Looking at the bottom chart and our support for tourism development score, you can see we're slightly below our score, our goal of scoring 1 or higher. But we're confident that continued work with our Advance the Perception of Value tourism value strategy and others as well will continue to move this number in the correct direction. Finally, here are our baseline visitor sentiment KPIs. They remain strong across the board, although they are still slightly below long-term goal targets, but that's why you set goals, so that you can grow. We're still confident that these scores will meet our goals by June 2032, and I'll point out that these scores are higher than many of our Western competitor states. So I will end by jumping to the present, and as a reminder, and as presented in the December Commission meeting, here are selected strategies for the current biennium. Some are new and others are carried over, as you'll see. Again, this is not an exhaustive list of all the strategic work happening, as more is happening in core delivery. But we're proud of what we were able to achieve over the course of the 23-25 strategic plan and the progress we've made towards realizing our vision of Oregon as a welcoming place where tourism drives economic prosperity, benefits the natural environment, and celebrates rich, diverse cultures. Looking back not only affords us the opportunity to celebrate milestones, but to gain knowledge and insight on what we can do better or differently going forward. Learning from this past biennium will inform the work we do and how we do it during this biennium. So as we embark on the 25-27 strategic plan, Travel Oregon staff remain committed to collaborating with industry partners toward fulfillment of our shared 10-year strategic vision. So thank you for joining us on this journey. Let's go to the next slide, and we'll open it up to any questions. Thanks so much for your attention.
Great job. I'll say great job to both of you, but especially, I know this is inaugural presentation, Hannah. Really, really nice job.
Thank you.
So, commissioners, questions for this panel? Commissioner Youngblood.
Pedro, Hannah, and Hannah, and Hannah, and Hannah. How much time went into the development of this presentation?
Oh, months. I mean, yeah.
I never want a triumph of effort like this to go under-celebrated. We have the benefit of sitting here and listening to I should have timed this, how many minute presentation, but to appreciate how thoughtfully constructed and deconstructed, and I'm going to move this to this column, and oh, I need to put that in that column. You led with grace and generosity at the beginning of your comments by acknowledging the content experts throughout the organization, and you continued that thread all the way through the presentation. Even giving Brian some celebrated recognition. And I'm just saying that's something. I just have to tell you that having enjoyed presentations like this, thought I was going to get through one of these. Thanks. This was really special. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Youngblood. That's good feedback too, and just because this is a new process for us and we want to keep building on how we do our reports of looking back. So open to all feedback. I really appreciate your words.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's really important for us to just, like I said in the beginning, just take a moment, take a breath. You know, Travel Oregon, we're always at full speed ahead. We're always looking to the future, and it's just, Brian really drilled this into us. Thank you, Brian, sitting behind me, that we just need to take a moment to breathe and be like, okay, what was in the vision? What is in the strategic plan that we had for the last 2 years? What did we accomplish? What did we learn? And I think this is such an important role that Hannah has, and just working with all the other teams to see what they wanted to highlight, and just it does take a village, but Hannah did a great job leading us through this.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the commission?
I think what I always appreciate from the staff, and thank you, Brian, for encouraging the team to think about that, is it's always about, driving more economic development. Go, 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 go. And it is nice to take a moment to really look at what we've done well, to look at opportunities for improvement. And we talk about this being a learning organization, and we continue to do that. I say we, it's really you. You continue to do that every day to the benefit of Oregon and to the benefit of the communities of Oregon, because we continue to see these amazing programs come out. The Wheel of the World is just the most recent example we got to hear yesterday. So thanks for the work, and thanks for the time.
The SVPR report that you received, there's so much more in there, and we have the 19 strategies, and every single strategy has some sort of program behind it. Yeah. So we're really proud that we're really moving all the strategies forward, but today we're just focusing on the strategic vision of the last 2 years.
Travis.
One question. Great presentation. One on the KPIs, when you were discussing down 0.9%, is that measurable there? Is that something that is you're down from your goals, or is that down from previous?
Good question. It's 0.9 out of 3 points. Yeah. So it's not a percentage. It's a score. So that's part of our resident sentiment study, where we ask for support for tourism development. So we ask different ends of a spectrum of, do you support tourism or Oregon becoming an international destination? Do you support advertising Oregon? Do you support investing in our facilities? So then people, are somewhere on the spectrum. So that's why you see there's negative and there's positive there. So we were at 0.9, which was an increase over the last study. But we want to work hard, and there's always room to do better. So we set that goal of 1, and that's by the end of the 10-year vision.
Okay.
So we really, I believe, are on track to reach that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, not seeing any other, I'm sorry, Commissioner Pendleton.
I just want to say as well, thank you. It was a great presentation. I think for myself, it's really nice to see you here presenting, okay? We hear from Todd, we hear from Petra, which is great, but when they really work to elevate other team members and get them here in front of the commission, that's very meaningful, and to me, that helps support our team's career growth in many ways. So this is exciting, and I'm happy to see over the last several years we've seen more of this, and I hope it just continues. Thank you.
It might be the last time we'll see Hannah Hicks.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be here.
All right. Well, Petra, Hannah, thank you. And again, Hannah, great job. I'm sure the folks back in North Carolina wish we had the closed circuit TV in the living room watching them cheer for you.
Good job.
Yeah. Commissioners, that concludes the reports and updates portion of our meeting today. As you've heard me say on numerous occasions, this is one of the ways that we as their staff team want to be held accountable to you. You are the body that is ultimately responsible for adopting the plans, adopting the budgets, and moving those. Then it becomes our job to implement those and report back to you on how those things are going. And the strategic plan progress report is one mechanism for that, of course, which you receive in advance of this meeting. It goes into additional details in depth. But the other is obviously the time that we spend in our briefing and our public meeting, being able to share out with you either on a specific program or something as Hannah just presented here, something far more comprehensive in terms of how several different initiatives were moved forward over the course of the last biennium. So I definitely appreciate your attention and your engagement in that, and I hope you are feeling a level of trust and confidence in the staff team. Commissioner Pendleton, your comment in particular about you hear from me enough, you hear from, being able to hear from the subject matter experts, that's incredibly important to me. I'm glad it has value for you, and I'm sure for the rest of the commissioners as well. I think it's important for you to hear directly from the folks that are carrying out this work day to day, so that you have a sense of the depth and the breadth of the experience and the talent of the team that works for you at Travel Oregon. So thank you for that comment. And with that, Chair Willits, I'll turn the agenda back over to you.
Thank you, Todd and Hannah. I wish you had told me that your parents were watching. I would have been a little more polished with my delivery as well. There's a lot of pressure now all the way back to North Carolina. All right, we have reached the end of the agenda today, and I'm going to say as we leave, I think the halibut and cod and clams are happy we're leaving, because we have consumed a lot of those delicacies while we've been here this week. But I need to do a little acknowledgement here today, so please bear with me as I acknowledge some great work and great people that are in transition right now. I'd like to share my appreciation for our partners at the Central Coast and welcoming us to the beautiful area of this state. It was truly special to be here, and we felt welcomed as a commission. We felt involved in your community, and you gave us the extra credit tours and extra credit inspiration to return here and enjoy this part of the country or state. Today is also special for a few more reasons. And this one's about Lucinda. On behalf of the commission, I want to extend our deepest gratitude to Lucinda DeNovo for her outstanding service as chair of Travel Oregon. Lucinda's leadership has been defined by her dedication to doing things the right way, ensuring that processes were strengthened, communication improved, and every decision thoroughly vetted to protect the integrity of the agency. She brought a commitment to excellence that has left a lasting mark on the organization. I will admit, it was only after stepping into this role that I began to truly understand the tremendous workload she shouldered. To put it in perspective, the hours Lucinda dedicated to this commission equate to driving around the world more than 2 times. And I'm being serious with these hours. I was party to them. I didn't do all the work she did, but it was a tremendous amount of work to be where we're at today. It is also equates to 1,440,000 calories on a stationary bike. And to note the most important thing, it equates to 2,880 2-mile walks on the beach with someone you love. That level of commitment represents not only an incredible investment of time and energy, but also a personal sacrifice to ensure Travel Oregon was left in a stronger position than when she assumed leadership. Lucinda, we are deeply grateful for your service and I hope to honor your example by working just as hard on behalf of the commission and our industry. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
I know you'll be surprised to know that I do have a sentence or two that a remark that I do want to make. I first want to say that when Commissioner Youngblood asked me to consider a role of leadership in 2022, it was quite honestly the furthest thing from my mind. I had just lost my husband, Don Ivy, chief of the Coquille Indian tribe, less than a year earlier. And at the time, I was simply trying to put one foot in front of the other, committed only to honoring his legacy. Quite honestly, for all the hours I've given, it is I who want to thank you, this entire commission, this entire staff, this incredible industry. Serving in a leadership capacity gave me a way to channel my grief into meaningful work, supporting the Tribal Tourism Work Group, contributing to the 10-year strategic vision, and advancing the incredible efforts of tourism across this great state. It has been my greatest honor to represent this industry and to work alongside this incredibly talented team and commission. This work hasn't always been easy, but the things worth doing rarely are. And I'm so incredibly proud of what we've accomplished and even more excited about what we can accomplish in the future. And on a personal note, what I do know unequivocally is I have indeed honored my husband's legacy by doing the good work, being in service to others, simply because it is the right thing to do. So I thank all of you for this opportunity to serve in this role. Thanks.
And you're officially family. Yeah.
I'd like to say one thing. Listen, it's been a pleasure having you as chair as well. I think a lot of people look at this commission, as many others and boards, as just a volunteer. We show up, have a nice dinner, we laugh and joke, and we go home. But I've had the opportunity to see the efforts you put into this. You know, you have another job. You also, you're so committed to your family, the legacy of your past husband. I mean, I've seen the ups and downs, and you had to endure all the phone calls from me. I will say that I'm very pleased to have had you as chair, and look forward to continuing, hopefully, a long-term friendship as well. Thank you.
I'd like to add something to that Lucinda, not only you worked countless hours, but you worked hard with your heart in it. And you led with strength, but even more important, with kindness. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, commissioners. Second, on behalf of the commission, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to Erin Stevenson for her 4 years of dedicated service to the Tourism Commission. Her professionalism, commitment, and thoughtful contributions will be deeply missed. Throughout her term, Erin consistently provided valuable insights, often raising perspectives that might not otherwise have been represented in the room. She did so without weighted expectation on swaying opinion, but always with the intent to strengthen our work and the work of Travel Oregon through sincere dialogue. If Erin demonstrated any bias, it was in favor of honesty, transparency, and caution. Qualities that elevated our discussions and helped to guide us towards well-considered decisions. We thank her for her commitment and service, and we wish her the very best in her future endeavors. Thank you, Erin, virtually or out in the Oregon somewhere. And today marks another milestone. And I think everybody in this room felt his passion every single time he was in the room, but also specifically today, some of the emotions of leaving this and leaving it better than when you showed up, Scott. Today marks Commissioner Scott Youngblood's final meeting. We extend our heartfelt thanks to Commissioner Scott Youngblood for his years of dedicated service to the Oregon Tourism Commission. Over the course of his tenure, Scott served in a variety of roles, including chair, and consistently stepped forward whenever additional service was needed, even when asked by the governor to prolong his term. His willingness to lead and to contribute wherever needed has been exemplary. And if you do not know this, if you ask him to do something, he will do it, regardless of what it is, or how hard it is, or how inconvenient it is. He does it because he's that vested. Scott's devotion to Oregon and his steadfast encouragement of all things that make our state remarkable has been evident across each of his terms. His passionate appreciation for the work being managed both within and beyond this organization set him apart in ways that enrich the presentations and conversations. And since we're on conversations, all of this was delivered in a tone and cadence uniquely his own. Always memorable, always impactful. Scott, your presence will be deeply missed, and we thank you sincerely for your service and commitment. And that silence has got to be impactful to you, right there.
Thank you.
Scott Youngblood.
Oh, man.
This is for you, big guy.
Thanks.
Can I add something to it?
And I would like to add something as well.
I mean, I don't know what can you say about Scott, but Scott, thanks for all these years and wealth of experience. You know, you had a unique voice that, you know, always contributed something to the conversation. You know, you kind of gave us all some advice. We laughed. Your candor sometimes was stronger than the coffee and woke me up. But thank you for your service.
Thank you for accepting my apology.
Okay. I'm sure everyone's got a lot to share with you about your work here, but I just want to say it's been a pleasure getting to know you. I think what's more important is the work you do outside of this commission to help other people. So I hope you continue that path in the work that you do.
Okay, you're crying, so you know
Hey,
I'm going
Scott,
to cry.
I just appreciate the privilege of able to serve on this commission with you the last 2 years. I've learned an immense amount of the processes, and your dedication to this commission has been just, it goes beyond words. So appreciate everything you've done, and I'm a better person for, being able to know you. So also, I wanted to give you.
Greg just referenced the hundreds of hours that I've given, and we can take those hours and times them by 5 for all the time that you've given this agency, this industry. You led us through a worldwide pandemic.
It wasn't my fault.
You instituted, Commissioner Grummel's mentioned the commissioner training. You instituted that program, and we have continued to advance it. And I think that's what I appreciate most about this commission is we start these practices and we just continue to improve upon them. It's going to be really difficult to improve upon you, my friend. You come to these commission meetings so incredibly knowledgeable, informed, engaged. The way in which you articulate a message is so incredibly powerful about the value of tourism, about the value of this industry in the state of Oregon. We talk about being in service to others. You're not only in service to this entire state, but you have been in service to each and every one of us commissioners. I have called you many times not knowing quite what to do, and you've always been the voice of reason. sometimes for me. So I want to thank you just for your incredible leadership to this agency and commission. Thanks.
And I just want to put one thing, Scott, the commission will not feel the same without you. It'll feel a little different, so we'll miss you.
Well, thank you. Thank you all. Yeah, my propensity for choking up is embarrassing. I'm grateful to Travel Oregon, to my colleagues on the commission, to all of you for the opportunity you've given me. Dry up. It has been an incredible joy, so thank you. You are all so passionate about the work that we get to do, place that we get to do it, and the people. So I knew I wasn't going to get through today without choking up, and there was a message that I was hopeful to bring with me, and so I hedged my bets. And Matt was kind enough to print copies of an op-ed from the Portland Business Journal to put on the table in the back of the room for y'all as takeaways. It was a message that I was hoping to carry into the meeting today and to be able to share. And if I can maintain a moment of composure, I'll try a little bit. Past Chair DeNovo, Commissioner Rowe, many of you have acknowledged that this is a tough time right now. One of the things in terms of economic uncertainty that makes this a tough time we keep talking about, and that's tariffs and the cost of importing goods. This op-ed that I was hopeful to share with you all was written by Monique Claiborne, the president and CEO of Greater Portland, Inc., and I just stumbled across it last week. And she specifically talks about tourism as not only an export, and for those of you in the room that deal with this every day, you understand that we think of tourism as an economic export, someone else's money coming here. Am I getting this right? Yeah. And that tourism is a traded sector economy, without which, the humorous analogy that I like to think about, without bringing other people's investment into our economy, we would all be sitting around selling one another haircuts. And so we have industry.traveloregon.com. Many of you look at it every month or more often. I know I do. And we talk about these numbers that many of us memorize by rote. It's our elevator speech. It's that opportunity to talk with an elected official. But the challenge that I'd like to leave you all with is to continue to champion the value of tourism as an economic engine, as an employment engine, and as a way to strengthen the communities that we live in. And then go ahead and read the rest, because Ms. Claiborne does a much better job of articulating it than I do. Don, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you. Are there any additional business or announcements from commissioners at this point? We did a lot today. Our next meeting will be held December 3rd in the Willamette Valley. For more information on that will be posted to the industry website as soon as it's available. I'd like to thank staff and our local partners for a wonderful meeting and for wonderful contributions. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful drive home and a wonderful day. Thank you.